Hello and good evening, everybody. My name is Melody McAllister, and I am so grateful to be here with you tonight. I know we are streaming through several different Facebook communities and Twitter, and I have a wonderful guest with me tonight. She is a friend. We were talking about this before we went live. We think we met through like Vocabulary Nearpod a couple of years ago, but we're not sure. We've actually worked on a couple of projects with them, Nearpod and Vocabulary. But I feel like I've known Dr. Desiree Alexander for years, to be honest, and I'm inspired by her. Like every day, she just puts out these amazing gems. And so glad to have you here tonight, Dr. Desiree. Tell us where you're coming in from and just about your life.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Honestly, I am coming to you from Shreveport, Louisiana. So I'm happy to be here. What can I tell you?
I know that was a big question. I'm sorry. I do that a lot and I don't mean to, but I would just love to know, like, what's your background? Like, I know you wear a whole bunch of different hats. You have a consulting business that you do. You're an educator. So like, tell me the timeline of like how this all began.
Okay. So if we start with, I guess my love of education, I grew up as an Army brat. So kind of grew up traveling and kind of, all around, always in the South, except for I was born in Belgium, Europe. I don't know anything about it. Because people are like, tell me. I'm like, no, tell me. I have no clue. So I don't know anything about it. I just was born there, and I was born with a cleft palate and a cleft lip. So if you've ever seen like Operation Smile and those books, that was me. So that kind of I feel like, put me on certain paths too with health and things like that. So always wanted to be a teacher. Never really wanted to be anything else. I was the kid playing school everywhere. And, a good gift for me was a workbook. And, I was that kid. And then when I, went to college, I started working for a couple of different programs where you can help students, and that really even ignited my passion even more, even though I was already in the educational I was getting my degree in education. So started my career at a middle school. I never wanted to teach anything except high school. I didn't think any students lower than a senior could handle my intelligence. I was that person. I can tell you when like I'm tired of myself. It's like, really, sweetie? But I really felt that way. Like I was like, why would you ever teach anything besides British Lit? Like everything else is crap. Like what? I'm not understanding why anybody would teach a novel. Like it's Shakespeare. What are you talking about? And Beowulf. So I was very, very English snob, and wound up at a middle school because I went to LSU. And they had a partnership with a lower income school in the area right around LSU. And one of my professors came and said, well, hey, can you just lend a year to this program? We're trying to, bring teachers. I just graduated, was in the master's program. And I was like, yeah, I'll go save your school. Give me a year. I got it, whatever. And I really felt like I was such a teaching snob. So I was like, yeah, I'll go save them all, whatever. And was hired to teach history, even though that's not my field. And circumstances happened, went into the English classroom, thank goodness, that's what I wanted to teach. And had my life flipped upside down. Didn't know what I was doing. I've always been a born teacher, but of course, when you have that little snobbing-ish, they taught me something very, very quickly. Loved my students, fell in love with middle school. And that's kind of how I started my career. My second semester, I got student teachers. I don't think that was even legal, but my second semester, I got student teachers. So fell in love with teaching teachers right then and there, right from the beginning. I remember my second year teaching, I created like this handbook for new teachers on my campus. And so it was just there all along to help teachers while helping students. And I saw that connection. If you can build a teacher to be their best, then they're going to build the students to be their best. So I always saw that connection. And that's kind of where everything started on my path.
Wow, that is so cool. And I love that. And I know you're a person of faith. So it's like God will humble us. He will go out of his way to humble us.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will.
I love it. I know I feel like when I graduated, I had a lot of different things that I knew that I was going to do, but none of them, I just took a job. I needed a job and that's what I did. I took that job. So yeah, and it put me on a different path, but a wonderful path. So I'm glad. I love
Right.
that you shared that with us. And so you've been a lot. How many different hats have you worn in education?
So in education, I've been a middle school English teacher. And of course that comes with, the clubs and all that kind of stuff. But middle school English teacher, high school English teacher, middle school librarian, high school librarian, district level instructional technology supervisor. And now I am running my consulting business. So I'm the founder, CEO of Educator Alexander Consulting. And I am working for an educational nonprofit in the state of Louisiana called APEL, the Associated Professional Educators of Louisiana. So I've done that. I've worked at a public library as a teen librarian consultant as well. So just pretty much anything dealing with tweens and teens, I'm all about it.
I love that. I love that because a lot of times that's where people like would turn and run. Like
Oh, and I'm that way for elementary. Like they're so small, they want to touch you all the time. I'm like, what's happening? Like I tell people and they think like, oh, haha, I'm not a kid person. I am a tween and teen person. So even like my friends know, my family, like don't ask me to baby. I'm not a kid person. Like if they're old enough, we can go hang out at a movie and then go to pizza. I'm all about that. But like, let's watch Dora. Why? I don't understand.
and that is totally great. I mean, it just takes all kinds of all of
Yep.
us, and again, I know a lot of people who would turn tail when they would get a tween or a teenager, and the secret is it's treating them like people, and you do that very well. And whether you are all about mentoring, and I love that. And lately, your tweets have kind of taken on a new like just this, like you see us, you see educators, you see the struggle and you get right to it. I'm one of those people that screenshots it and shares it on the communities that I'm in because it's so encouraging. How are you, and this is not a question I prepared for, but I'm sorry that I didn't prepare you for this, but
No.
how do you stay so sane right now? Because you're doing a million things. Like I see you doing all these webinars and you have your own business and you're training teachers everywhere. People know who you are. How do you how do you stay? I'm so sorry. How do you stay sane in all of this crazy life?
I don't. You embrace the crazy. Like you embrace the crazy. I think if you try to stay sane, it's going to drive you insane. Like you're going to feel very defeated because there is no sanity in education, especially right now. It's not a sane thing to go back to school and give your life to other people's children. Like that's not sane, right? I mean, you really think about it. It's not a sane profession. Like you go back to a part of your life that you probably didn't like to help other people's children for little respect most of the time, little money, and you smile and you get a drawing of a hand and you're like, I love this. That's what my life is all about. Like that's not a sane person. You have to be a little touched. So I'm not saying like you embrace the insanity of education and you move on with it. I think one of the things that and it's so funny that you said like my tweets have changed and that kind of does my heart good because they really have. So when I taught, when I first started my company, I teach branding and what to do and what not to do on your brand social media account, things like that. One of the things that I constantly saying, I still do believe in this, is that stick to your brand. So if you have a brand account and it's about education, everything you post should be about education. I still do believe that. But because of some things that happened this summer, I really went through a transformation, and it wasn't an easy transformation for me. But it was one that, I talked it over with my friends, with my family, with Christ, and went through a lot of deep emotional things, as we all did. But one of the things I had to ask myself, because I'm very vocal on, my personal social media, but I had to ask myself, like, where does Educator Alexander stand? There's no longer a gray area, with a lot of things happening in our communities right now. So where do you stand? Like, it's no longer enough to just post some Google tips and be like, Google, like, that's no longer enough in education. So it really started with me posting a, kind of a declaration, as a lot of companies were doing, but I wanted mine to be a little bit different, just about Black Lives Matter, and about, anti-racist education. And it's one of those things that I feel like, dabble in. I used to be like, oh, digital equity, a little dabble there, or a little dabble here. And it was just time to do it. Like, either be about it or don't be about it. And that's where a lot of my tweets started changing, because I just wanted to talk to teachers. Like, and it's not like I don't still post my Google tips and still post it, but when I get that inspiration to say something, or if I'm talking to, honestly, I think like all of my friends are educators. So when I get, most of them are educators. So when I'm talking to them about an issue they're having, and and I give that little nugget that doesn't even come from me most of the times, it comes from higher up. And I say that little nugget, I'm like, they're not the only ones that need to hear that. Other teachers need to hear that. Or when they're giving me advice and it's something that just like pierces my soul, other teachers need to hear that. So it's just one of those things. It's like, you just need to share it, and like, just share it. And if they don't want it, they don't have to take it. If they do want it, awesome. But just share it. People need to hear your truth. And that was one of the things I put, because I'm so saddened by teachers getting shut down a lot.
Yes.
And even during that time, well, not during that time, we're still going through it. But one of the things I saw when it was like in the crux of it, if that's not a word, but whatever, is people are like, well, your silence is deafening, right? You're not saying anything. Your silence is deafening. But then somebody would speak up, and it was like, well, you're not speaking up correctly. Sit down. And I was like, we can't have it both ways. Like, we can't have it both ways.
Right.
Like, we have to learn how to communicate. So, and that was one of my recent tweets, was just, if you want to speak up, speak up. Like, don't have people silence your voice. Like, speak up if you want to speak up about something, even if you don't feel the way I feel about it. Like, live your truth, speak up. Don't let inferiority complex. Don't let, oh, this is my first time talking about this issue and I may not be in the right skin or the right space. Speak up. Say what you need to say. Like, I think that's the days that we're in right now. Just speak up.
Yeah, definitely. And so do you feel, even though you are a Black woman, you feel like that was also the message, that you weren't doing it right? You felt like that was coming on to you?
I don't feel like it was, I'm not doing it right. I felt like, how do I put this? Because I actually had someone message me about this. A lot of Black educators, and like I say a lot, in the people that I know, felt like I should have been speaking up stronger before. Where I had a lot of my white educators come and go, oh my goodness, I'm seeing the stuff that I used to do. That was not okay. I feel shame about that. I had my Black educators going, man, the stuff that I just sat through and I didn't say anything, or the stuff I saw her going through and I didn't speak up for her because I was trying to keep my job. I'm ashamed of that. And I think that was where a lot of the, like, well, I'm not going to speak up because we have people that have been speaking up in this field and I don't want them to call me out, like, where have you been, kind of thing. I think that's where a lot of my Black educators were, or just my educators of color were. And we just have to get over that, and that's when I started really, talking about equity even more, because I was already kind of getting there before this all started, and this just kind of like pushed me in. And yeah, it's just like, we got to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. So we got to kind of put that to bed and just get active and start doing it. And I think that's where, a lot of my tweets started changing and stuff like that.
I see. Well, I had never thought of you as not doing enough. So, I mean, that's what I was a little surprised to hear that. But I love what you're saying. And I also know that you're coming to a place where we're all finding that for some people, we're way too much. We're way too much, but for others, we're never going to be enough. Like we just can't please everybody. And that's when you come to the point where you just protect your peace and you protect it at all costs because you're not living your life for other people. You're living in the moment where you are, how God is guiding you, and the people that are in front of you that are listening and watching and learning from you. Because
Right.
you can't impress the people that don't think you're ever going to do it right. Those people are not the people that are for you, the people that are learning from you. So I think that what you're saying right now, it's definitely a part of like our courageous conversations that we've been a part of. And I just want to plug, you're going to be in on November 22nd. You're actually going to be a part of that. So I love hearing this because it just, everybody's perspective matters. And
Yeah.
whether you've been in the game for a long time or you're just new, like you have to be able to speak your truth and not feel ashamed about that. So I appreciate so much of your sharing.
Of course.
Yeah, and I, we're going through this. I want you to tell us a little bit more about. Okay, here's what I know about your consulting company. I
Okay.
see you all over social media, and I see you doing these webinars that are like they're not always very long. They're like tips and hacks that you can do. And I know you did one with Nicole Taylor yesterday about organizing email. I didn't even know that was a thing. I have thousands of unread emails. But what is it? What do you do with your consulting? Tell us a little bit about your company.
What I have is multifaceted because one of the things I didn't want to do is pigeonhole myself into one area. So I didn't want to be like techie Desiree. Like I didn't want to, because I do more than tech. I do more than classroom management. I do more than leadership. So I wanted it to be broad because my interests are broad. So with that being said, my end goal is always to make educators, I hate to say make educators better, to give educators permission to be better. That's always my end goal. So I'm constantly thinking of what can I do to help out with that. So of course I get hired by districts and schools and parochial schools and charter schools and private schools and teachers themselves to do trainings. And I get hired by some tech companies to do trainings through them. So I have that aspect of it. That's kind of like the formal professional development part of it. Then I have the part that is helping educators get their own businesses off the ground. So I call it onboarding. So when they come to me and they're like, hey, I want to brand myself, what do I do? So I'm like, hey, let's get together. Let's look at that. And I always tell my educators, like, I'm not trying to break an educator when it comes to finances. So I have a very, very small package for educators to just meet. Because what's an hour? Give people an hour of your time. It's not that big of a deal. So I have that, and then I have everything else is kind of like the freebies. So I have my YouTube channel that has 5-minute tips, and that's probably what you've been seeing, a lot of the 5-minute tips here and there of just like, hey, do this. This is how you do that. I have webinars. It used to be once a month, and now it's like 2 a weekend. So now I have like 2 every Saturday this month, which it's one of those things where if you want it, I'm gonna keep doing it, And when I first started my webinars, it was just me teaching every once a month, completely free. Come to it, whatever you want. And it had an okay following. Like it was all right. And when I say okay, I mean like little O and little K. It was okay. Like if I would get like 20 people, I was like, I got 20 people. Like I was so excited. But then I would post them on YouTube, and YouTube would get more hits. So that was good too. And then I started bringing on guest presenters because, again, how can I build up educators? I'm like, hey, you're kind of scared to go teach at ISTE. Well, come teach at Educator Alexander this Saturday. Build up your confidence, promote yourself, that kind of thing. And then, that started bringing on a following. And then COVID hit. Right. And we started getting 500 people at our webinars. And it was insanity and awesome. So now I have kind of a following that comes to like every webinar, no matter, who's speaking, and I've branched out to have like webinars for counselors and, like not just all technology, and like we have one for ELA coming up. We have one for, I'm trying to think, like just whatever. I don't know. We have 50,000 coming up, but it's really awesome. It's really awesome that, educators are like, hey, we just want to learn in a not formal environment that's free, that's not all like pompous. So I have all that going on. And then I just post a whole bunch of stuff, on my social, just to like whatever can help you out. I'm all for it. And like I tell people when I'm doing trainings, I'm part of your PLN now. So you email me if you have a question, like, because classroom teachers at this point, you don't have time to go and find that button. You don't have time to go research for 20 minutes, but that is my job. So email me and let me search for you for 20 minutes and give you the answer. Because not only is it going to help you, but then I can do a 5-minute video about it and it can help other people. So it really is just a cycle of help.
I love that. And I love how like personalized PD right now is so big, and like that's your whole game. And I love that you're helping other educators get their confidence level up, but and using kind of like your platform. That's amazing. You're spotlighting other people, and also you're taking what other people want to know. I absolutely love that. I just think that's one of the reasons I love you, is just that you share your platform with others. Like, you are building people up, you're building educators up, which in turn builds up our students. And that's exactly what we need right now. We need all of us to be doing that in one way or another, where our specialty or our unique abilities lie. And I just think that that's incredible. And I just want to applaud you for doing that.
Well,
and
thank you.
Yes. And so what is your Twitter? What is your, I know your Twitter, but what is your IG? I see you on Instagram a lot.
It's Educator Alexander. So all of my social media is Educator Alexander except for Twitter. So Twitter is the only one that, like, even every now and then I'll go check it, like checking it in the woods to see if it's out there, and it's not. It's just too many letters for Twitter. So on Twitter, I'm Educator Alex. Everywhere else, I'm Educator Alexander.
Okay, and I put that in the comments, and I also put, so I hope I spelled everything right. I am like notorious for misspelling everything.
Yeah, the three that I really work on, like Twitter is my number one, and then Instagram and Facebook. So those are the three that I really work off of. Like I tried to do Pinterest for a while. It's like, what am I doing? So I know those are the three I really work on.
I feel you on that one. Like Pinterest was over the top for me. I love this. And so I put in the comments, for those of you who are watching, I put, so this is an Instagram handle, but I also put, and I'll pull it right back up. This is where you can subscribe to Dr. Desiree's YouTube. And I love that you really are an educator's hero, shero, excuse me, because you're doing so much for free. You're not in here to get rich by any means, but obviously you are, like, you're paying the bills with your expertise, which is amazing, and it should be. But I want to get just a little bit personal, if you'll let me.
Okay, yeah.
And I didn't prepare you for this either, because I'm just a spontaneous person.
Go for it.
We're talking, and I think that most educators feel this right now, this, like, we have a lot of opportunities for remote. We're working all day, and I'm not remote teaching all day, but I am teaching my own children. I have 5, and I'm doing 4 different grade levels. So I do feel that pressure all the time. And you recently, and you went public, you're like, sometimes you just got to say no. And I just, for anybody who's watching, what is your advice for them right now if they feel like they're drowning? Because you said that, you have all these opportunities and you're doing amazing things, but even you feel like you're drowning sometimes.
Yeah, I just went through a kind of an epiphany this week. And I think it's only Thursday. I went through an epiphany this week. I've been drowning for a while. And it's one of those things where I really do believe in testimony, and it's just part, and I believe you have multiple testimonies throughout your life. And that was just my testimony for now, is that I feel like I've been drowning, definitely since COVID happened. I never forget somebody said, oh, it's been 8 months. I'm like, 8 months of what? They're like, COVID. I was like, no. And that was earlier this semester. I was like, it hasn't been 8 months. And it really, like, it was like a dagger in the heart. I'm like, I've been doing this for 8 months, like nonstop, morning till night. Like, it's not sustainable. And I've been drowning for a while, like silently, not being able to breathe underwater. And I finally just said enough. Enough is enough. I looked at my schedule. I looked at the things I was still signing up for, still saying yes to, because it's one of those things where when you get into this space, you get opportunities, you don't want to say no, because it's almost like an ungratefulness to say no, right? You're like, well, no, I'm not going to say no to that book because other people would kill to be in this situation. So you're not going to say no to that, right? You're not going to, and it's a part of being a person of color. It's a part of being a person of color in this space. You're like, well, no, I can represent, right? I'm not going to say no to these situations because somebody needs to see my face to get inspired to do something. And, it's a lot riding on just, presenters in general, but definitely your presenters of color, because it's a different aspect to it. So, but finally you have to say, I'm not going to be able to do anything if I'm dead. And it's just really that serious. So I just backed out of a lot of stuff. I was under contract with one of them, and I was like, okay, hopefully you don't sue me, but I'm backing out. And this is one of those things where you it's almost like if somebody would come and spit on your friend right on the side of you, you're going to stand up for your friend when you need to stand up for yourself too. So, and I preach that. And the tweet that went viral, I guess, I hate to say stuff like viral expert and stuff like that.
It went viral. It was like,
it was everywhere.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. That was a late night tweet to myself. Mm-hmm. And that's what I told people. I was like, no, that was me being frustrated, sitting right here in this chair at like 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whenever you can go look at the time, I guess. And I was like, oh. So it really was a late night tweet to myself, like, you are not a 7-Eleven. You are not a Circle K. Stop being open all the time. You got to shut it down. Right. And it really was a tweet to myself. And, but, it's a tweet to myself, but then I wasn't following it. So I was like, but you got to follow it too. So yeah, I just kind of shut stuff down. I said no. I even said no to, a couple of really, really good friend of mine. And I was like, I hope you understand. And they were like, we love you for saying no. Thank you. Cause I'm just like, I can't. And it was almost like, it was like such a boomerang. Because for some people, I just said yes. Like, I was just like, yes, I can edit it. And then like 2 hours later, like, I'm backing out. So it's like a boomerang. I was like, I'm so sorry. But yeah, you just got to take care of it. Like, enough is enough. Like, it's not, one of the things after I turned 40, I started saying was, it's no longer cute. Like, it's no longer cute to be like, I didn't eat all day. I'm so hungry. Like, that's not cute. That's stupid. Like, that's stupid to do that. And I was just like, we need to stop promoting that kind of stuff. Like, oh, I worked from 5 o'clock to 2 o'clock. I didn't even sleep. Like, that's not cute. That's stupidity. So it's one of those things, like, we got to stop glorifying that and thinking it's cute, because it's not. It's not cute. When you start glorifying, baby, I slept 8 hours. Like, that's what I want to hear. Like, that's what we need to start celebrating and glorifying, not the workaholic, not having a life, not, we got to stop glorifying that.
Wow, so, I love that.
That was my journey to this week of just backing out of stuff and saying no.
Right. And the reason I asked you is because whether you want to be or not, you are somebody that people look up to, and they are checking to see, like, when your life doesn't measure up with your words, like, that is actually something that a lot, like, we see it all the time. And so you are living to your own words, and that's really what leaders do. So I appreciate that you're willing to share that. And it helps me, because I'm getting to the same point. So I know that there have to be so many educators out there who are feeling it. And you're like, it's okay to take care of yourself. Actually, you should be. That's how you take care of other people, is when you put yourself first. And I love that. I love
and those
that.
Opportunities, I am a strong believer in, if something is for you, it's going to come to you. It may not come to you in your timeline, but it'll come. Like, chill out. If it's for you, it's going to come to you. That's
and
it.
You're going to take it at the right time. It may not be for you now, but it will
Right.
be there at the right time. I love that. And you said that today, and I loved it. But I almost love everything you say. Almost. I don't know.
You know how I feel about you. You know I love you. So, but
I
yeah, I mean,
know.
I really do believe in that because it's happened time and time again in my life. So if it's
Right.
for you, it'll come. Just because
Yeah.
it came right now in a nice bow and a present doesn't mean that's for you. And it definitely doesn't mean that's the only time you're going to see it. If it's for you, it'll come back around.
Yes. And you've talked about how, you know, at other times in your life you felt the passion, and then other times it wasn't there. But when it was supposed to be, it all came together in the right time. And so I love
Yeah.
that. And I feel so honored that you and your busy schedule, you came on here so that I could like highlight your work and talk with you. Just a really an excuse just to get you to talk to me.
I will talk to you anytime.
But how can we follow your work? What's coming up that you really want to share with others?
Thanksgiving break. No, kidding. So Thanksgiving break is coming up. It's going to be amazing. I have like mainly the webinars on the weekends because everything, like a lot of the other stuff I'm doing are like paid sessions. And I just, always walk a fine line with that kind of stuff. Even on my like social, most of the stuff that I'm promoting are the free things versus the paid things. But I have 2 webinars coming up this weekend, and then we're scheduling right now. Well, we have one scheduled for ELA December 5th, and we're scheduling another one right now for I think December 12th.
Okay.
So we have those, and then we already have 2 series that will be happening in the spring. One on mindfulness, and one on like connecting with parents.
Yeah.
So both of those people are like, "Can I do one a month?" I'm like, "Yes." So it's gonna be insane next year.
I love that.
Webinars. It's gonna be like one every weekend probably. So that's gonna be my life next semester. But just that and the YouTube channel, like I think it's a lot of really good stuff on the YouTube channel. So check that out and subscribe. I send out a newsletter once a month with a whole bunch of really good stuff. If you go to that subscribe page, you can subscribe to everything. All of my socials on there, newsletter, YouTube. I try to put everything in one spot. And then I think the only other thing I would say is my SLLA test prep. So if you do want to become an educational leader, I have test prep classes online. Now those are paid, but I do have some free resources too. So I've had people say, "Baby, I'm good with the free." I'm like, "Take it, it's there." So they got free resources. They have a class. I have Google level 1 and level 2 classes you can pay for. But again, I give away the free resources for free.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of good stuff. Just contact me if you're like, "Baby, I can't find that on your website." Contact me. I'll just send you the link and we'll be fine.
And so, and you can go to educatoralexander.com. I have it on the ticker. And then if you just put, the slash and subscribe, you're going to get everything that she's just talked about. So Thank you so much.
Or you can go to educatoralexander.com and click on subscribe. So it's right there on the page.
Right. And it's on the ticker. Hopefully you've seen that as you've enjoyed our conversation tonight. I just want to say thank you for joining me tonight. I truly love your leadership, and I am so grateful for it. I'm grateful to be in your circle, because I'm just going to make myself be in your circle.
So, you are in my circle. You're in the orbit, and I'm in your orbit.
I am so appreciative, and I hope that everybody who was viewing this, whether it's on the replay, whether it's live, whether you're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You are why we do this. You matter. We thank you for putting your heart and your soul into teaching. And whether you're getting spotlighted or not, we're seeing the hard work that is paying off. Students all over this world are reaping the benefits of dedicated teachers. Actually, and this is my last Educator Spotlight for the year. And I'm glad we got to end it on such an amazing note with somebody that I care so much about. So we'll see you for more Educator Spotlights after the new year. And just because right now, with everything that's happening around us, it is really time to protect your peace. And it's okay to say no. You're not less of a person, leader, teacher for saying no and protecting what matters to you. Before we go, is there anything that's burning on your mind, Dr. Desiree, that you want to share, or are you good to go?
There is. I actually wanted to ask you if I could say one more thing.
Yes.
I wrote on my personal Facebook and a message to Melody, and I just want to kind of put that out there that I see you in so many spaces promoting educators, and that's really close to my heart. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's real. Like every time I look around, I'm like, okay, so she's there. So you're doing so much in the spotlight. But y'all, when you go to stuff, like Melody's usually in the background doing something. Like you may never see her name, but she's there running the stream yard so you're doing so much in the education space, and I just want to appreciate you and tell you, I think that's really, really awesome, all the things that you're doing. So, and we appreciate it as educators. And of course, when educators are appreciated, it flows down to our students. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. When you sent me that personal message on Facebook, it really meant a lot. I mean, it really did. It touched me. I probably cried a little bit, not going to lie. I thank you. Thank you for seeing me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely.
All right, everybody, big hugs. Enjoy your holidays as much as you can, but really just preserve yourself, stay safe, stay healthy. We need you, and we need you to take care of yourself first. So take care, and we'll see you on the next side of the year. Bye.
Bye.